the Water and Sanitation Department's Director General, Dr. Phillips, is currently briefing the media on plans for sustainable water provision during 6 months of that Lesotho Highlands Water Tunnel closure. That briefing has started. Let's listen in.
The Lesotho government and the Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority, or TCTA, which is an agency of South Africa under the Minister of Water and Sanitation. The work required to be undertaken during the shutdown period includes grit blasting the steel-lined section around the entire circumference of the tunnel and reapplying corrosion protection on the tunnel lining, as well as other maintenance and repair work identified during the 2019 maintenance shutdown. This work is expected to protect the infrastructure for another 20 or 30 years. This much-needed maintenance is critical to maintain the integrity of the delivery tunnels, as a tunnel failure will risk the transfer of the 780 million cubic metres per annum of water into the integrated Vaal River system, from which Rand Water draws water to supply to its customers. The 6 months period required to conduct maintenance is thus crucial to avoid any catastrophic event which may result from a lack of maintenance. As a result of the tunnel shutdown, 700 million cubic metres per annum will be transferred in 2024, which is 80 million cubic metres less than the normal annual transfer volume. After the shutdown period, the water transfers will be increased to enable that shortfall in transfers to be recovered. In May 2023, we undertook an analysis as DWS to assess the risk to the integrated Vaal River system's performance as a result of the outage, and to determine the impact of the shutdown on water availability to users in South Africa. This analysis that we did in May 2023 indicated that the impact of the outage on the overall integrated Vaal River system will be insignificant, considering that at this time the dams in the integrated Vaal River system, such as the Sterkfontein Dam and others, are relatively full. This means that the closure of the tunnel for maintenance will not result in any disruption of water supply to Rand Water and to the municipalities in Gauteng and other provinces which are the customers of Rand Water. The standard operating rule that we have as the department is that Sterkfontein Dam releases water into the Vaal Dam. Vaal Dam reaches a minimum operating level of 18%. The department's analysis indicates that this is unlikely to occur at any probability level in the 23-24 operating year, from 1 May to 31 April. Hence, releases from the Sterkfontein Dam to support the Vaal Dam are not envisaged for the current 23-24 operating year, and Sterkfontein Dam remains full to date. Further analysis will be undertaken next month, in other words in May 2024, to ensure that there are also no likely risks to water supply from the integrated Vaal River system in the 24-25 operating year. The fact that the Sterkfontein Dam is full means that we provide a reserve supply of water to top up the Vaal Dam as needed. The shutdown will also not have any significant water supply implications for domestic users along the Lebensbergvlei River and its tributaries in the Free State during the shutdown period. The Lebensbergvlei River normally receives outflow from the tunnel. However, while the tunnel is shut down, additional water will be supplied from the Salspoort Dam, which will be filled with water before the commencement of, and this will ensure that the water requirements of towns along the river, including Bethlehem, Rietz and Tweeling, will have sufficient water for the duration of the tunnel shutdown. Licensed irrigators along the Lebensberg River and its tributaries will be provided with notices to restrict their abstraction during the shutdown period to certain days of the week, so that they abstract water from rivers fed by the Salspoort Dam in a sustainable way during the tunnel closure. In other words, they will still be able to draw their licensed amounts of water, but it will be managed in such a way that it doesn't result in a drawdown, in an unsustainable drawdown of the Salspoort Dam. Abstraction of water from the river will be closely monitored by the department during the closure to ensure that there is no illegal abstraction, in other words, unlicensed abstraction of water, which might affect the availability of water to the licensed irrigators to abstract the water which they require and for which they have licenses. The department started engagements with all the affected municipalities in 2021. This is particularly the municipalities in the Free State along the river, as well as other interested and affected stakeholders and government departments, informing them of the planned tunnel closure. Subsequently, the department has been continuously holding meetings with these stakeholders to discuss action plans compiled by the municipalities and the stakeholders to mitigate the risk of any challenges and bottlenecks as the planned maintenance program is implemented. The department has also developed communication and stakeholder engagement plans that tie in with the engagement plans of the three municipalities in the Free State that I mentioned. These communication and stakeholder engagement plans of both the department and the municipalities are currently being rolled out to ensure that all water users, including members of the communities, are informed, participate in relevant activities to ensure that the risk of any disruption to water supply to the communities and the irrigators along the river is minimized and that the program is implemented successfully. The department would like to urge all water users who may be affected by the planned tunnel maintenance to use water sparing and care in this period as a means of managing any unforeseen risks. A water restriction notice is being prepared in this regard. Finally, the planned closure of the tunnel for maintenance will not have any effect on the ongoing construction of Phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. The main contracts for the new dam and the tunnel were awarded in October 2022. The contractors are on site and the project remains on track to start additional water into the integrated Vaal River system by 2028. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. May I now, we start with the program of the day to allow members of the media to start with their questions to the statement presented by Dr. Phillips, the Director General of Water and Sanitation. Just to remind you, as I've indicated, we have the Chief Executive of TCTA, Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority, as well as the CEO of Rainwater, accompanied by the COO as well. And when you do ask your questions, kindly indicate yourself, your name, the organization you are from, and also indicate where your question is to. May I also request that I take the first 5 questions, and please let's not repeat after one another. If the question has been asked already, let's not repeat so that we do not waste time on the same issue. Thank you. May I start take the first line of questions by raise of hands? Okay. Okay, proceed, yes.
My question is for DG. My name is Dennis Alkot from the 24 newspaper. DG, we already face some severe water challenges in Gauteng. As it stands, thousands of residents go without water for weeks on end. What assurances do we have that this project won't take longer than 6 months? And what would be the consequences to Gauteng if it does take longer than 6 months?
Next question, Alex.
It's Alex Patrick from News 24. I just wanted to know, because it appears that this statement is, if we already know this information, what was the reason for coming here? Have you had lots of these similar questions? Did you just want to kind of put it out to everyone? Yeah, if you could just tell us that. Thank you so much.
Any other question?
I'm sorry, Karin Creer of the magazine Landbouw Weekblad, Farmers Magazine. Do you perhaps have any idea how many irrigation farms will be affected?
Okay. If there's no other questions, may I invite again the Director General to come and respond to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bisani. I think maybe I should start with the question from News 24 as to why are we here. It's a good place to start. Since we last issued a media briefing on the tunnel shutdown, we have received questions which indicates that there are some misunderstandings and perhaps some unanswered questions. And you will see that this media statement has more information than our previous media statement, and it attempts to address some of the misunderstandings and some of the additional questions that have been raised. For example, it explicitly says that it will not have any impact on the amount of water supplied to Rand Water and Rand Water's ability to abstract and to provide to its municipal customers. Secondly, and a related question from Beelt, you're correct. There have been severe water supply disruptions in various municipalities in Gauteng. The current situation is that as a result of a huge increase in demand in water in Gauteng, which is partly related to the very rapid growth in population in Gauteng, and in addition to that, increased leakages in municipal water distribution systems as a result of insufficient funding and attention to maintenance. At certain times currently, for example, when there's a power outage or when there's a heat wave, the demand for treated water is exceeding the available supply of treated water. And that results in water supply disruptions, which particularly affect people living in high-lying areas, because municipalities such as the city of Johannesburg gravity feed water to the residents from their reservoirs, and when the demand is exceeding supply, then it's difficult for reservoirs to supply water to the high-lying areas, because the municipality finds it difficult to fill the reservoirs sufficiently to enable the water to be gravity fed to the high-lying areas. The key question is, what do we need to do about it, and what is being done about it? A number of things have been done about it. I mentioned in my media statement that we are constructing Lesotho Highlands Phase 2, which is going to bring additional water into the integrated Vaal River system. And that water is going to start flowing by 2028. At the same time, Rand Water, and perhaps the CEO can speak about this some more after me, has a 35 billion Rand capital works program, which is timed to be completed by the time the Lesotho Highlands Phase 2 is completed, so that Rand Water will be able to treat all that additional water coming into the integrated Vaal River system and increase the supply of treated water to the municipalities in Gauteng. So that is the medium-term solution to the problem of insufficient treated water in Gauteng. In addition to that, we are engaging with the municipalities continuously about the need for them to improve and increase their maintenance and reduce the leaks in their distribution systems. That's the other key imperative action that needs to be taken if we're going to avoid water supply disruptions in future. Furthermore, we are engaging with civil society and the private sector and academia in Gauteng, and we would like to engage regularly with the media about the need for water conservation and demand management in Gauteng, about the need for the average consumption in terms of litres per capita per day in Gauteng to be brought down at least moderately and closer to the international average. The average consumption of water in Gauteng per capita is much higher than the international average, which is an anomaly given that we're a water-scarce country. And we have to get our water through a very expensive, in Gauteng, through a very expensive engineering solution which involves this system of dams and tunnels in Lesotho to bring water to Gauteng. Gauteng doesn't have enough naturally occurring water to meet the demands of its huge population. So, in summary, to avoid water supply disruptions in future, we need to expeditiously complete the construction of the Phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands project. The municipalities need to reduce their leaks, and the municipalities are also implementing other projects to improve their resilience, for example, by constructing additional reservoirs and pumping stations, by installing generators so that they're not as negatively affected as they currently are by load shedding, for example. And finally, everybody in Gauteng needs to use water more sparingly. And we need to at least moderately bring down the average consumption of water in Gauteng in terms of litres per capita per day. Your question from Beeld was that what assurance do we have that the project won't take longer than 6 months, and if it does, what will the impact of that be? So this is a construction project, and all construction projects always have some risks of going over time. There's unknown events that can happen during a construction project. For example, you can have unforeseen things that you find on site that you didn't know until you started the project. There could be labour disruptions, etc. That is why we've been talking about the contingency measures and the risk management that we've been doing. According to our assessments as the department, there shouldn't be any need to release any additional water from the Sterkfontein Dam into the integrated Vaal River system. But we do have the Sterkfontein Dam there as a reserve supply if there's any unforeseen risks arise, such as you're referring to with your question. So the short answer to your question is that if in the unlikely event this maintenance work does take longer than 6 months, we do have contingency plans in place, including the potential release of water from Sterkfontein Dam into the integrated Vaal River system should that need arise, but we don't currently envisage that need will arise. And then the last question was how many irrigation farmers will be affected? I think you will have understood from my statement that based on our current assessment of the situation, we think that there will be sufficient water to supply all the current licensed irrigators along the river which receives water from the tunnel. I should point out that those license allocations to those irrigators is based on water that comes from the catchment. It's not based on the water that comes from Lesotho. The water that comes from Lesotho is aimed at increasing the amount of water into the integrated Vaal River system, primarily to provide water to meet the huge demand of the municipalities in Gauteng and other municipalities. So we envisage that this won't have any impact on the ability of the irrigators, all the irrigators in that area, to draw the amount of water that they normally draw according to their licensed allowable abstraction limits. But as a risk mitigation measure, we're going to ask the irrigators to stagger their abstraction of the water so that we can make sure that we can reduce the risk of the unlikely event of there not being enough water in the river for them to draw the water, so that the withdrawal is staggered, so there isn't too much water withdrawn over a short period of time, which might cause problems for some of the irrigators. Thank you very much.